For those of you who don't know me, which I don't think there's any, I'm Hyuk Lee of hyuklee.com. I was have to say. Okay, so what I'm going to cover today is using MyFitnessPal to track your macronutrients and calories. MyFitnessPal is one of many apps out there for you to track your nutrient intake. Some of the other more popular, well, this is probably the most popular one. Some of the other ones are like, I think there's one called Lose It, My Net Diary. I think there's one called Fit Day, but a lot of people like this one because it has a really large food database. So whatever you look up, you'll find something. So let's get started. Just a quick coverage on what is meant by macros, short for macronutrient. The three macronutrients are protein, carbs, and fats. So protein is necessary for really some important functions in the body. It's the basic building block of muscle, and any soft tissue you have in your body is going to be composed of protein. The next one, carbohydrates. You can see some sources of carbs up there: bread, potatoes, beans, rice, pasta. And it's the most immediate source of energy. You know, back when, you know, we lived in the caveman days, if a tiger is chasing you, you're going to use carbs to run away from that animal. And it's the preferred source of energy for your brain. If your blood sugar gets a little bit low, you'll feel kind of run down and feel a little cranky. And fats. Fats have taken a beating in some years as being really bad for you, but actually fats are really important. There are certain types of fats, such as omega-3s, which the body cannot make. So if you are deficient for long enough, you could actually die if you don't have it. And there are some vitamins which are fat soluble, meaning it dissolves in fats when you eat it, and then your body absorbs it. So if you eat zero fats, you won't be able to absorb some of those vitamins. So why do we want to track? I don't know if some of you came to the talk on Tuesday, that video. The bottom of the pyramid, the most basic thing you have to get right, whether you want to maintain your weight, whether you want to maybe add weight and muscle or lose fat, you need to get the calories right. So this is a method of doing it. It's one method. There's many other methods as well, but this is probably one of the more precise ways. And I like using that because, the human brain really isn't good with lists. If I ask you, what do you have for breakfast, you probably have to think about it. What did I have? And throughout the day, there's food here and there on the table. You eat a piece here, you eat a piece there. It's really hard to keep track in your head. You could write it down on a piece of paper, or you could keep it on your phone. And all those little nibbles will add up. I think once you start using the app, you'll find that out. And everyone usually has their phone with them, except for Greg over there. I think everyone else has their phone with them. Even I have it next to me, even though, I'm not going to be using it. And due to the miracle of the internet, through your phone, you have access to a large database of nutrition facts, thanks to Al Gore, of course. And it gives you a higher level of awareness. Once you start tracking, you'll realize, oh my God, that handful of nuts is about 150 calories. You can easily just inhale that in a matter of seconds. So it gives you awareness of how much you're eating. So this is a shot of, MyFitnessPal is available in the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Just to note, the version I'm going to show on the screen is the version I have on my phone, which is the Android version. I think the iOS version looks a little bit different. Some of the buttons might be in different places, but the functionality is basically the same. So you download and install. This is the home page of the app. you can either log in with Facebook or you got to create an account, email and password. And what you see up there, that's the main menu. You touch that to access all the major functions. So once you touch that, you'll get to this page. You customize it with a little narcissistic selfie if you like. And what I start with is goals. So once you touch goals, yes?
Is that you? Is that for you?
It might be. So once you touch goals, it'll take you to this screen right here. Where a lot of people start is putting in their weight and their goal weight. And what that will do is automatically put in calories and macronutrient goals that MyFitnessPal thinks you should aim for. But what I usually do is I just put in the weight and then I manually adjust it because I tend to find that MyFitnessPal will give you really little calories to work with. I mean, it's way too little for me. So you touch, let's see. So if you touch calories and macronutrient goals, it'll take you to this page. It looks kind of faded, but you touch calories, and then you input your calories. So daily calories, what we're going to do first is calculate maintenance calories, number of calories to maintain your current weight. So you take your weight in pounds and multiply it by a activity factor. Now, activity factor is just a swag. It's a big estimate. If you're a sedentary office worker who doesn't exercise, 1.3 is a good start. So if you weigh, 100 pounds, that's 1,300 calories to maintain your weight. Let's say you're moderately active, you walk maybe an hour a day, you multiply it times 1.5, 1.7 if you're very active. If you're a professional athlete, you might have to go to a 2 or 2.3 or even higher. And when I first started using this, I wasn't really fully committed to trying to lose weight or anything like that. So all I did was I just tracked. I wanted to see empirically, without putting in a number or a multiplier, how many calories I needed to maintain my weight. And what I found was, if right around 2,800 calories, if I eat a little more than that, I thought my scale weight will go up a little bit over a period of a couple of weeks. So that's about my maintenance. So I found that at the time I was 167. So you divide that, I get an activity factor of 16.8. And that becomes useful a little bit later on because over the course of, 4 weeks to maybe 2 months, as you lose weight, the smaller your body is, less calories you need. But then you can go back and use this activity factor. So later on, when I dropped down to like 148, 147, I use that same activity factor of 1.7, 2,400 calories. That's my new maintenance calories. So if you want to lose weight, you reduce the maintenance calories by about 20%. So to give you an example, let's say a 200-pound male, sedentary, maintenance calories would be 1.3 times 200, that's 2,600 calories. And if that person wants to lose weight, reduce it by about 20%. Let's see, let's do the math. What does that come out to? 260, like 520 calories they eat or reduce by? Just call it 500 even. And that person will start losing about a pound per week. Because it takes about 3,500 calories of deficit over a week to lose about a pound of fat. And it doesn't always work out exactly that way, depending on whether you're losing fat or losing water or losing a little bit of muscle. So. And then, let me go back to the previous screen. So after you set the overall calories, then you can, if you touch protein, carbs, and fats, you can set those individually. So first thing I like to set is the protein because protein is the most satiating macronutrient. You want to make sure you get enough protein so you maintain your muscle mass. Having muscle burns more calories than fat, so it's advantageous to maintain muscle. So whatever your goal weight is, so let's say you're 160 pounds, but you want to be 140, take your goal weight and multiply it times 1 gram. So let's say the goal weight, let's see, so you would set 140 grams of protein. So these bars slide up and down, and they go in increments of 5%. I think if you pay for the premium version, I think it's $6 or $7 a month, then these will go in smaller increments. But it's really not that big of a deal whether, if you want to be at a more of an in-between, you'll know what that number is, even if this says it's 150, but you want to be at 140. It's not that 10 grams won't make that big of a deal. And then rest of the calories, you just even it out between the carbs and fats. What you'll find as you start logging is that the fats come along with the protein. If you have a burger, you're going to get plenty of free fat, if you will, along with the patty. So it's not anything that you normally have to add in externally. You just fill in whatever rest of the calories with carbs, and you tend to be okay. The free version allows 4 different meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a snack. I think in the premium version, you could add even more meals if you want to do that. But to me, that's just more of a visual. You could log your entire days of food and calories all in one meal if you like. At breakfast time, you could log in as dinner. You could even log tomorrow's meal right now if you want. So this is more of a visual thing, so that you go, oh yeah, for breakfast I had this, or for lunch I had that sandwich, whatever. And there are multiple ways to enter it. You could enter it by searching for a certain food, or you could scan the barcode. If it's a little package, like maybe a candy bar or a protein bar, you can scan the barcode. And you could also enter your own recipes. Let's say, you like to make beef stew at home, or a certain kind of soup. You could enter that recipe. So here's an example of how you search for the food. You go to the diary. The food that you see up here, these are food items that I logged in. This is actually a screenshot from yesterday, or actually 2 days before. When you touch that add food bar, pulls up this screen, and then you type in whatever you're looking for. And these are the results you get. McDonald's double quarter pounder with cheese. I look for this little green check mark because that means that the nutritional information has been verified by other users. Kind of the downside with MyFitnessPal is that all the food information up there is entered by users like you and me. And sometimes you'll see errors in there. So if you pick one that's not quite right, you'll be entering wrong nutritional data. So in order to get around that, MyFitnessPal added this feature where you can verify it, and if enough users verify it, it gets this little green check mark, meaning that it's accurate. So you check that little check mark, and after you do that, you click that check mark up there and it gets entered. Oh, the one step I skipped. So let's say that you're curious about this to see if it's accurate. If you touch it right on that food right there, it'll pull up the screen. It'll show you, it's got 42 grams of carbs, 43 grams of fat, and 48 grams of protein, total of 750 calories. But this is an example of where it creates awareness, right? Let's say you're a female who's looking to lose some fat. 1,500 calories that's pretty realistic. So if you eat this double quarter pounder with cheese, that's half of your calories for the day. So when you check that, it gets entered. So once it gets entered, you'll notice my daily calories over by 851 because I entered this burger here. Now scanning the barcode, that's a sandwich I bought yesterday from our Avanti Market back there. And we'll see if that's available. So in the previous screen, when we clicked add food, pulls this screen up, right? So if you touch that barcode, then it'll access your camera, and then you can scan the barcode in the back. So when you scan the barcode, it will look up the food, and it pulls it up right there. Turkey, cranberry, multigrain, fresh and ready foods. And then I could verify, okay, all the numbers match, 440 calories, 60 grams of carbs. And I could even check the description, fresh and ready foods, right? Turkey, okay. It's an exact match. So you click the check mark and it gets entered. Now the final one, entering recipes. You may or may not want to do this. I mean, this is a little bit more involved, but if you're eating, let's say, like I said, like a curry or a beef stew, that's really hard to figure out. You look at the bowl and go, how much beef is in there? How much potatoes? It's really hard. So this is where this becomes more useful. So when you click My Recipe and Foods, it pulls up this screen. These are foods I already entered. So you touch plus sign, and then it gives you the option of adding from the web or entering ingredients manually. I rarely use this function because it'll find some recipe online, and then unless you cook it exactly at the recipe, exact quantities, if it tells you to use 1.5 pounds of chicken breast, you got to use exactly 1.5 pounds or your numbers will be off. So I rather enter the ingredients myself manually. So when you say enter ingredients manually, it'll pull up this food search bar. You know, I look up, this is where you enter the name of the food. Beef stew, and the number of servings. The number of servings, I just put it a number, but usually I'll go back and change it based on how much I make and how much I think a serving should be. So once you do that, now you're entering ingredients. So it looks just like when you're searching for food. Touch the plus sign. I type in beef or stew, and it'll pull up all these results. And then you could open each one of them up to verify that it looks accurate. And then you choose it. And then you got to set the quantity. So once you enter it, you know, what it does is for each serving, it'll give you how many calories it is. I don't really like using the servings function because, you know, when you make a big batch, how do you divide up a pot of stew? It's really hard. I mean, do you divide it up into separate bowls? It's too messy. So what I like doing is I just weigh the whole pot. I mean, excluding the weight of the pot, of course. You just put it in another pot and see how many ounces it is. And then I go in and re-edit it. For example, in this case, it says Vermont curry, which is this one. You touch it, and then you edit it. I edit the servings. So at that day, when I measured it, it was 120 ounces. So that way, you know, if I want to eat a smaller amount, I can just measure it out. It's 9 ounces. And each ounce is, I think it's like 24 calories or something like that. Yeah, 24 calories. To me, that's easier than, you know, going, well, did I eat one serving? Or what if you want to eat half a serving? And, you know, it's really hard to do that visually. So then when you go to a food and you hold it down, you touch it and hold it, it'll pull up the screen. You have the option of deleting that entry. Or you can move it to another meal. You can move it to, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snacks. And then if you go back to the main menu, you can go to nutrition, and it'll pull up the screen. It looks faded out. Let me look at the screen here. I could read it a little bit better. So in this case, that day, it was toward the end of the day, I had 163 grams of protein, 252 grams of carbohydrates, 71 grams of fat. All of them pretty close to my goals. I think I was over by 100 calories, which is not that big of a deal. Just some tips that I kind of discovered on my own as I was using this app. Drinks. For example, if you like to have a glass of wine with dinner, a lot of people don't realize that typical, what is considered one serving of wine is 5 ounces, which means from that bottle, you should be getting 5 glasses out of it. But, most people don't fill it right to 5 ounces. Maybe they get 3 glasses out of it. So instead of it being, 125 calories per glass, it ends up being, 200 or whatever. And if you're having just 1 glass, it's not a big deal. Let's say you have a second glass, now you're off by, a lot more. So if you have a glass that has a little logo, I know that, right above that little tail they are, that's 5 ounces. So just visually, and I find that that's fairly accurate. Another thing about meat is that a lot of the data online is for raw meat. So if you're weighing out a steak that's already been grilled, in your search bar, cooked or grilled, and it'll pull up grilled meat. Because once meat cooks, it'll lose about 20% of weight, which can add up to quite a bit if you're trying to reduce your calories by a couple hundred calories, let's say. Oh, it's kind of hard to see here. So this is a scale that I like. I bought it on Amazon for $17. I don't know why it only has 4 stars, but I like it pretty well. I can email you the model number if you like, if you want to get the same thing. But what I like about it is that it's got a stay on mode. I could turn it on and walk away, and let's say I'm weighing out some ingredients. Some of the other scales I've used have a timeout function, and you come back and it's off. Oh shoot. How many ounces was it before it turned off? Because once you turn it on, it'll zero itself again, and like, darn it. So this one stays on. And it's got a 13-pound capacity, which means, let's say you cooked a big batch of, I don't know, pot roast or something in a cast iron pot. You can put the whole thing on there, and it can handle the weight. And it's cheap. It's only $17. I think I had one burnout because I used the wrong power adapter, but I was able to return and get a replacement. So that might be a reason why it has 4 stars. Maybe some of them failed. I'm sure most of you have used the scale. When you turn it on, initially it'll just automatically tear to 0. So whatever container you got, it'll say 0. And then let's say you're measuring out your dinner. Pretend this is a little piece of chicken breast. You put it on there, and it says it's 6 ounces. So you want 6 ounces, and then you could press tear again. It goes to 0. So let's say you got some rice or carrots or whatever. You put it on there. Now you get a new number. So you don't have to do the math in your head. So it'll just do it for you.